Welcome back to the Star Trek Critic, where each episode is analyzed and graded like we know more than they do. Today's animated episode is The Slaver Weapon, the only animated episode that does not have the Enterprise or Captain Kirk. According to the Stardate 4187, this show takes place right before a private little war of the second season. The Slaver Stasis Box is a very sophisticated ancient object from a dead race, full of secrets. This is a backstory for tons of science fiction books and films. Since this isn't a retelling of the episode, a lot of this information is going to be skipped. Something tells me you'll never see that view outside a spaceship window. The glowing box means another one is nearby, like when two Furbies start talking.
The only known stasis box detector is another stasis box.
Beta Lyrae is a popular place, so somebody should have discovered this thing by now. Sulu says the first two eyes. More backstory. The stasis boxes have ancient technology used today in spaceships, and only Starfleet has access to them. So, -1 point for only Starfleet having access to billion-year-old technology. The yellow glow is the force-filled spacesuit snowsuit. And here comes trouble. Now they're trapped in a police web, and Kzinti telepaths are unhappy neurotics. He looks unhappy, doesn't he? The Kzinti don't like Vulcans or women, so Spock tells Sulu to think of eating raw vegetables to prevent his mind being read. Spock tells Uhura not to speak since Kzinti women are dumb animals, and they will be more likely to treat her like one of their own.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
That didn't go over too well, did it? The Kzinti don't like vegetarians. What are they trying to teach to little kids watching this show on Saturday morning? Their goal is to get one of the ancient slaver weapons and use it for their own advantage. Now there is a question of how far in the future Star Trek is. If the original series is in the 2260s, that would place their fourth war in the 2060s. So the first war is just around the corner. And the Kzintis want to eat people. Was the purpose of luring them there to get the slaver weapon or to eat them? I think a little bit of both. All that work for an ancient artifact, and it turns out to be a Star Trek toy. Now they found what they were looking for. I think I saw this in a movie too. The telepath complains of women and pacifistic herbivores. I feel his pain. It is hard to read a woman's mind, isn't it? It turns out the meat in the billion-year-old box is poisonous. That's a red flag, but they keep going. So this device they found changes and has multiple functions. Just a matter of pushing the buttons. Sulu is torturing the telepath by thinking of raw vegetables. Look closely, the device changes to one shape, and now it's back to the old shape, so -1 point. It's a digital camera. The rest of the episode is devoted to the Kzinti playing with the device they found. Of course, this mess gives Lieutenant Uhura a chance to escape, but she didn't get very far. Lieutenant Uhura talks about the good old days when she used to be on the track team. This setting absorbs energy around them, and now they're able to sneak free of the police web. This is probably the only time you'll see Spock knock people out with his feet. Did you ever notice the animated characters all run the same way? Lieutenant Uhura gets shot a second time. Spock believes the Kzinti won't call for help since he busted the Chuff Captain's ego. Sulu quotes his favorite Black Eyed Peas song. Sulu believes it's a device for spies and not for soldiers. Spock says the null setting does nothing.
Very stupid.
The Kzinti contact Spock while Uhura poses like Princess Leia. The slavers demand negotiations, and then, after the commercial break, the slavers again demand negotiations, in case Spock and Sulu forgot during the commercials. Chuff Captain challenges Spock to a duel.
Offer refused.
Uhura tells them off.
Wrong. They don't think much of you.
It looks like they found the setting they were looking for. They must be pretty far away, or else the explosion would have killed them. Any closer and they would have to hide inside a refrigerator. The device can change on its own. And now they're back in jail with the Kzinti. Isn't this like the third time they've been caught? This comment is way behind the times now. Chuff Captain is communicating with the device, but I really don't trust the device. Or Chuff Captain either, really. The device is password protected. The Kzinti want the weapon setting. The device says to twist his Widdershuns. That's as close as you can get to cussing on Saturday morning TV. This is what you get when you twist his Widdershuns. Spock, Uhura, and Sulu are thinking, should we tell them that's not the right setting? And they're like, Nah, we'll let them figure it out on their own. This is the only time in the original Star Trek animated series where anyone dies. The slaver weapon is gone, and Spock is right, it would have never reached the museum. Too many people would fight over it. For ancient weapons will again take place in the episodes Gambit, The Chase, The Sword of Kahless, and again in the Eplit series by David Brin, since he got all his ideas from the Star Trek animated series. Back on the shuttlecraft, they contemplate how that chasing a weapon from a previous war could actually spark a more modern war, and are glad that it is gone forever. And the slaver weapon gets a score of 98%. Can you imagine that? Is it because Kirk wasn't in the episode? We will never know. Thanks for visiting, and please be sure to check out my other videos and playlists, and most important of all, click that like button, the share button, and that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.